Again, welcome to the Mount, and if you have not been here before, and even if you have, I want to give you a little bit of sense about what the Mount is. And the Mount is an old dairy farm, really. It was given to us 135 years ago by a Louisville movie actress, Mary Anderson. And you're too young to remember, but your parents might remember that there was a theater, the Mary Anderson Theater, in Louisville, Kentucky. She inherited this land. It was nothing on it when she owned it. But she fell in love with a guy from England and went over to live with him, marry him, and she gave this land to her uncle, who was a Franciscan friar, about 400 acres, and we have that 400 acres still today. As you walk around, when you get to see it, or if you get outside, there's several barns and from an old dairy farm. Two of those barns are turned into art studios. And since Mary Anderson was an actress, we thought it appropriate to name the art program here after her, the Mary Anderson Arts Program. So if you do get to walk outside, there's a pottery studio and a gallery. They have pottery classes for the public once a week. They have art gallery displays from Louisville artists and others. And then there's a studio, 5 studios in the calving barn, which are two-dimensional artists, musicians, etc., all of whom are from Louisville, oddly enough, and they come over here to craft their art. So there's an art program here named after the woman who gave us this land 135, 140 years ago. There's also, since that time, been friars living here, and our main ministry has been high school education for young men who wanted to be, or thought they would want to be, Franciscan friars. And you're standing in what was the old school building, built in 1923. And this room was the study hall. And the proctor would sit behind those windows. That was his office, and he could open the windows and watch them. I don't get the windows, but sometimes they were closed, I guess, sometimes open, I don't know. But this was the study hall, and underneath this is the gym. And when you see the gym, it's tiny. You've been in it. If you stand against the wall, your toes are on the court. I don't know who could watch the game. They had to lay outside and peek in the windows, I think. But they won sectionals twice. So for a tiny little school in southern Indiana, they did pretty well, given that they had that tiny gym. So it was a school, and in 1976, we decided that so few kids came to that school. Not too many boys came. It was a small seminary. Not everybody wants to be a Franciscan. So the friars thought we could reach more youth if we close the high school, which is very small anyway, and then reach out to all the youth of the area, not just boys, but girls too, and open it up as a youth center and retreats for youth, and that's what we did. And as Mrs. Rebar told you a few minutes ago, Assumption was one of the first, if not the first, high school to come here, and been coming ever since. Last year, we had approximately 2,500 high school kids here for retreat. Almost about the same number of adults, maybe a little bit fewer, but that's a lot of high school kids. Trinity comes for their senior retreat, St. X for their junior retreat, DeSales comes for their senior retreat, Assumption, Mercy comes for their junior retreat, Prez, Sacred Heart. They all come for one of or several of their retreats during their high school years, and where Assumption comes for the most. You have the largest group that comes here. So it's wonderful to have you again. The Mount, I don't know, in the early 90s, turned a lot of its land, 375 acres, into a sanctuary. And there's a land preserve and a separate board that maintains it, and you can walk the trails, sit around the lake. There's a fishing club that uses the lake, shelter houses here and there. There's shrines on the property way out in the woods. It's a beautiful one, a life-size St. Francis laying down back over that way next to a spring. Beautiful. And that board takes care of the Mount St. Francis Sanctuary. They're in charge of it, they take care of it, they own it, and they maintain it as a sacred space where people can come and experience God's presence in creation and just enjoy the peace of the place. So the Mount, we've had it for about 135 years or so. It's an art center, it's a sanctuary, it's a retreat center where people come and experience God in a different way. And it's also home to the Franciscan friars. We have a very common life based on poverty, chastity, and obedience, but many different ministries. I was a high school teacher, and now I work here at the Retreat Center. Brother Paul, who was a graduate of St. X, he teaches in the medical school at U of L. Brother Nick is a canon lawyer on the tribunal over in Louisville. We have Father Pius here, who's pastor of a local church. Father Ken Barch is chaplain at the VA hospital in Louisville. And so lots of different friars, lots of different ministries, but all live together in a community of faith based on those three vows of poverty, chastity, and obedience. And of course, you know, Pope Francis has captured the spirit of St. Francis and kind of made it available to all of us, pointed out that really the Franciscan gift is to embrace all people and to welcome all people, regardless, just to welcome and love our brothers and sisters wherever they are, wherever we see them, and whenever they come our way. So we welcome you, we embrace you, we're glad you're here. Welcome to the Mount, and the friars are glad you're here. And while you're here, too, the friars pray for you when we gather for morning and evening prayer right in the church through that door. So again, welcome, glad you're here, and we'll see you.